Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Dagger News. I, of course, am your host, Dibby-Dab Daggerman. This just in? Dibby-Dab Daggerman has just been found, stabbed to death.
Bruh.
Hold on a sec. Good evening, and welcome to Dagger News, the only news channel that cuts to the chase. I, of course, am your host, Stan Stabarino, and this just in. Sorta, kinda, not really breaking, but nonetheless important news just in. Like a week ago. But, anyways, the new elf class has possibly, potentially, maybe, to some unverifiable degree, been leaked. We don't know if it's real or fake. It has not been confirmed yet, so I do not know for sure. But, one thing is for sure. And that is that the new elf class looks amazing. So anyways, without further ado, that thing in French. Adieu. Drum roll. I present to you the new class, Legolinas. That's right, Legolinas. Pretty much exactly the same as a wage stalker, but with better hair. No, on a serious note though. I present to you Sister of the Thorn.
Warriors of the Night, assemble!
Now, keep in mind here, before we get into the nitty-gritty details, that anything here, first of all, we don't know if it's real. And if it is real, anything here is subject to change, right? Because regardless, it hasn't been released here, so anything here could change. But here she is, Sister of the Thorn. Now, first off, if we read in here very closely, it says, Woodland Surge. Elite enemies that die grant the party a stack of Woodland Surge, refunding 5% of the cost of the career skill when used. For every 20 stacks of Woodland Surge that gets consumed, KERILLIAN gains Abundance. Abundance grants a free cast of Thorn Wall. Thorn Wall. KERILLIAN conjures a thick wall of thorns that hinder enemy movement. Just think about that for a moment. Just think about that. Just combine these two things, right? That's gonna be amazing. That's gonna be absolutely amazing. Why? The 200 IQ plays you could do with this, this adds so much tactical prowess, to the hero KERILLIAN. I don't know how large that wall is gonna be, but I would imagine it's a decent amount, enough to block a whole fairly wide lane. And if you combine the fact that every time you kill an elite enemy, you get these stacks refunding 5% of the cost, and for every 20 stacks, you get a free cast of Thorn Wall. If you combine that with things like Kong Pots and stuff, just imagine the strategic ability of this hero to keep the team alive. I think that's gonna be such a fun support hero. Even for true solos, honestly, I think for soloing, this would be absolutely amazing to play with. And just an interesting new mechanic, right? Very different from anything we have so far. There's no hero that's able to actually physically place something in that sense. So I'm actually really excited for this. Because I genuinely think that the 200 IQ plays with this ability are going to be so much fun. It already sounds OP, not gonna lie. As a team hero, already sounds OP. As for the perks, let's move on. Sadism. KERILLIAN deals more damage to wounded targets depending on their health. Which I guess it's not that strong of a trait. It's good for bosses. It's good for lords. It's alright for chaos warriors, I would assume. I don't know if this, obviously we don't know yet if this is percentage based, if it's overall health based, as in something with 5,000 health at half HP, 2,500 health, if that bonus would be larger than something with 20 health at 10 health, right? Obviously we don't know that yet, but definitely interesting. Affinity. Using an ability. This is where it gets really interesting. Using an ability will convert KERILLIAN's temporary health to green health. She only has one ability, right? Using an ability will convert her temporary health to green health, equal to 10% of her max health. In other words, every time she uses her ulti, which we just established she can cast multiple times in a row, she will convert 100% of her temp HP into 10% of her maximum health as green health, right? As fixed health. So regardless of how much temporary HP it is, in other words, one temporary HP will still turn into 10% of her maximum health, and 100 temporary HP will turn into 10% of her maximum health. But that's a part of her ulti, essentially. That's a perk that affects her ulti directly and is always active, right? But then you also have the effects, eternal. The effects of all healing is increased by 25%. And I would assume that sounds like an aura. That seems like an effect that's not just there for you, but there for everyone on the team. And if you remember that healing also applies to temporary HP, and I would assume then, that's the next thing, that this 25%, the question is, does that also apply to the 10%? Because I would assume that it does. That would seem reasonable. In which case, let's see, you have most likely it's going to be a 100 HP hero, which means you have 120 HP, which means you're going to heal yourself for 12 HP every time you use an ability. That would then be 25% of the 12 health, which is 4, for a total of 16 health per ulti, right? Before any previous, like if you don't count any other modifiers. At least that's how I read it. I think she looks like a druid, which is also freaking awesome. It's gonna be curious how this, like, at first I was like, the staff, that's weird. She's like, how's that gonna work as, is that a ranged weapon? But I don't think it is, right? Because unless it could be an exclusive ranged weapon for Sister of the Thorn, that is possible. But I think it's more likely that the staff is related to her ultimate ability, in the same sense that as the engineer, you pull out, you know, you pull out a weapon as your ulti, the same with the Grail Knight, to some degree. And I think it's a situation like that. Like if you don't have a bow equipped on Waystalker, for example, let's say that I use a mod, I put on a handgun on KERILLIAN, right? You can do that with some mods. Then I'm no longer able to use my ulti because I don't have the bow, which is actually a requirement for her to cast her ultimate ability. I would imagine that this is a similar-ish function. I think, maybe. I don't know. I'm just guessing here, just to be clear. For all I know, it could be a new exclusive weapon, but I do think that it's just tied to her ultimate ability. I think that's most logical. But it could also just be a new, really interesting ranged weapon, spellcaster weapon that works maybe... Like, who knows, maybe it has a similar function to that of Sienna and doesn't need ammo and has some sort of thorny attack thing that with a bar attached that you then can sort of reload over time. That would also make sense, because that way you could use R to reload it, take damage. So maybe there's an overcharge effect of some sort. Again, just guessing here, I have no idea. But she looks like an epic freaking druid. Like, not gonna lie, I love it. Then comes the next question, right? The mechanics of the Wall of Thorns. Because obviously there are, like, I'm thinking of different there are different ways this Thorn Wall could work. Option A, which is probably the lowest effort option, but also what makes the most sense, is that the Thorn Wall is similar to the thorns that spawn in Weaves. The Jade modifier, that you spawn a wall of thorns that only affect enemy minions that are equivalent to the thorns in the Jade Wind. That would be one option, right? That slows, again it says hinder, not prevent enemy movement, which makes me think that minions can still cross across the Thorns, right? Likely dealing damage to the and slowing the enemy minions. But the other option, I guess, is that it's an actual wall, right? That you actually create some sort of thorny wall that maybe doesn't deal any damage, but completely prevents enemy minion from going that way. Sort of like a more sturdy fire bomb, right? Where as soon as you place it, stuff has to go around if possible. That would be another. That'd be another option. It might even work like that, even if it's the Thorns. It might be something that they will try to go around, if it's at all possible. I think that's most likely the case. So you'll have to place it strategically where they can't. But I think it would be even more interesting if it was just a blocker. Just like, nope, you cannot pass here for 5 seconds. That would be really useful for like resing people and stuff like that. But less useful damage-wise. I wonder if it deals enough damage. If you like spawn 2 of them, if you can like take out a whole horde. And like just imagine the use for, let's say you pull a Chaos Patrol. And you have 2 to 3 casts of this. Just imagine how useful. Like, just imagine how useful it is. It just the level of control that could create if you continuously move over and over past it again and again. It really allows you to, depending on whether or not they want to walk through or around, it really allows you to set up some really interesting clutch potentials and 200 IQ plays where you need to place it very specifically and then utilize sort of the map in combination with your ulti, right? Anyways, we don't know if this is real. This is all speculation. This has not been confirmed. The reason I didn't make a video about it a week ago when this originally was posted on Reddit somewhere, I was told by a friend, right, was because if it is real, I thought that, because like if it's a leak, then it seems most likely that it's a beta tester leak, because like I know that Fatshark, through experience, that they usually beta test the heroes, the classes before release, so they'll have some close beta with like what's it called, a non-disclosure forum, something like that, essentially making it illegal for you to actually show to anyone. And I would assume that it seems unlikely that it's someone from within Fatshark, assuming again this has not been confirmed, so I don't know if this is real. But if it is real, I would assume it was most likely a beta tester leak. And if it was a beta tester leak, then it seems like they're fairly close, right? Pretty far in development, if this is actually where they're at. Of course, she doesn't have an icon yet, but that's a minor detail, right? I could imagine that this is a class that requires a lot of testing, because the balance has to be just right for it not to be OP. But regardless, I'm freaking excited. Like, I really hope this is real, and I really hope that it comes out before Chaos Wastes or with Chaos Wastes. Maybe they'll drop this in April and then Chaos Wastes somewhere, somewhere in the middle of April. I don't know. I just know I want to play her. I think it's a really interesting concept, very different. Not what I expected. Not at all what I had in mind. Anyways, what do you guys think of the overall abilities? What do you think of the hero? What do you think of the perks and traits? Does it look good? Does it look bad? Do you think it's real? Do you think it's a fake, someone photoshopped, or whatever software you use for stuff like this? What do you guys think? Are you excited? Do you think it looks amazing? Let me know down in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video by #NotDibbyDabDaggerman. What was the other? By Stan Stabarino. Anyways, this was all I have for you guys this time for Dagger News. I'll probably see you guys soon as Fatshark makes an announcement about either the elf or about Chaos Wastes. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, love you guys. Stay awesome. Stab, stab. Peace out.